Hi guys, and welcome to another quick video about the DJI Pocket 2. And in this video I want to basically go through 10 buttons that could prove useful when using this little camera. So let's get started with the video. Now just before we get started, if you're new to the channel, then a very big welcome. I'm a very small channel and I'm going to be talking a lot about the DJI Pocket 2, the tips and tricks, and also other cameras, for example the popular Sony ZV-1 compact camera, and also the GoPro and the Insta360, as well as things like gimbals and cinematic techniques. So if that's your thing, then please stick by my channel and like the videos and subscribe and do all that good stuff. Alright, let's not waste any more time and let's get started. Okay, so the very first button that's going to prove very useful is the on-off button that I'm sure you already know about. And that of course is the one on the side here. So if you press and hold this button in, it's going to switch on the camera in selfie mode, so it's going to be facing you. So that's fantastic if you want to do things like blogging or selfie shots like that. But what happens if you don't actually want the camera to start in selfie mode and you just want to simply record what you're seeing at the front and you don't want to flip the camera across? Well, there is another button that switches on the camera, and this button here next to the red record button. If you press and hold this button in, it's going to switch on the camera if it's off, but in POV mode, so it's going to be facing the front away from you rather than selfie mode. So that gives you an alternative way of starting the camera, and I personally find that very useful because I don't want to be doing selfie videos all the time. Now that very same button has a multiple of other uses. I've already talked about if you press and hold it, but if you single click it, then it's going to switch the camera between the photo mode and the video mode. So it just gives you a very quick way of alternating between those modes, and that's if you press it once. If you press it twice, it's going to recenter the camera. So if you find the camera wanders off occasionally, then if you double press the button, it's going to recenter the camera and then bring it back to normal again. So it is a very useful function, I think, of the camera because that often happens. What else? Well, if you press the button 3 times, it's going to flip the camera and alternate between POV mode facing the front and the selfie mode back towards yourself. And that's if you do it 3 times. But this button has another function, and that is if you hold it while the camera is switched on. If you hold the camera while it's switched on, it effectively puts the gimbal mode into a global lock mode, and it's going to stay in that mode until you switch that button again. And that allows you to basically lock the gimbal so that it doesn't move in any of the axes. So that button has 4 different operations. Press and hold it while the camera is off, press and hold it while the camera is on, press it once, press it twice, and press it 3 times. But don't worry, that's the only button that has multiple uses. So let's now go on to the other buttons. Okay, let's now talk about the record button. So you probably already know that if you press the record button once, it's going to start the recording. If you press it again, it's going to stop the recording. What you may not know is if you press and hold it while you are recording, it's going to pause the recording, and you'll see a little symbol appear on the screen, a little square and a play button, and that means the recording is now paused. To stop the recording completely, you can either press the button again or you can press the little red square. If you want to resume the recording, you can press the button again, and that's going to resume the recording, or if you press the screen and the little play button, it's going to resume the recording. So that button is very useful if you want to pause the recording. So that record button has 2 functions. 1 to start and stop the recording, and 2 to pause and resume the recording. Let's now move on to the button right up here next to the joystick control, if you have this little adapter plugged in. So this button has 3 functions. If you press it once, every time you press it, it's going to alternate between the various gimbal modes. So it's going to go from point of view, it's going to go from FPV mode, then to follow mode, and then to tilt lock. So it's going to alternate between those three modes every time you press the button once. If you press the button twice, it's going to toggle the control joystick between the zoom function and the panning function. And lastly, if you press and hold the button, it's going to put the camera into the global lock mode, but only while you actually hold the button down. It's very similar to the button down here that also puts the camera into global lock mode, but the difference is the button at the top will only go into global lock mode while it's being pressed. As soon as you release the button, it's going to switch off the mode. Okay, so that's it for this video, so I hope you find this video useful. Of course, if you do, please subscribe and like the video to help with the YouTube algorithm and all that good stuff. Okay, see you soon on another video on tips and tricks for the DJI Pocket 2. See ya.